opportunity that may present itself such that men that once knew God will turn back. See, there is something that has to do with meeting people and releasing God that you will carry inside of them, and they will be straight forever. There is something not magical. There is a way in the spirit for things like that. There is a productive step-by-step manual in the spirit, because it is settled inside of you. You did not know God through studying, through showing all workings, like they say in mathematics. You understand? In school, we just remember those guys that they just like to be seen with big books, just to intimidate. They just want, anytime I saw him, then I would just, but I used to make gesture. Everybody would just like, anytime we meet, like, I'll just ask him, what did you read? Dafe would just lose it, because he won't pick anything. He can speak over your head, he won't pick anything. And ever wonder why people are just frustrated that they are stuck in God? They want to move to the next level. Some people be telling you, the same way you share things, like, I want to be like you. That's why you want to. Because the idea is you want to be like somebody. You understand? I've seen people do things. Why can't? And I look at myself. Is there something wrong with me? People be saying to you, is there something wrong with me? And that, there you have it. That is exactly why you will not enter into this. So that thing in us is in every man. You see someone, you are fascinated by the person. The first thing you do is to size the person up. What is inside this person that is not inside me? That is the original iniquity. And that exactly was what the devil did, was what man did. At that point, when you just feel, you know what? Because whatever you know in God, because you always like to be in control, you always like to size up what you meet, you always like to know the step by step in your own words. You understand? How exactly will I disciple this kind of person? That is logical, that is methodical, that is tactical, that wants to really understand what is hearing as she's hearing it. No wasting of time. She exactly wants to know where you are going. What do you want to do? There are some people, before you kiss them, you tell them, I want to kiss you. It doesn't happen spontaneously. Even as you are coming, as they are saying, say, what do you want to do? Not that they are against it, but they just want to know. They just want to, in charge. People like that, you can't tell them, I want to take you somewhere, just trust me. You'll be like, I don't like surprises.
Sorry, please.
I don't like surprises. Where exactly are we going? What exactly are we doing? Now, the questions will embarrass the man. Like, why can't, all this, I can't do this thing, just trust me. I know, but tell me.
It's not that I don't trust
you. Yes.
It's just I want to save us all.
Yes, so let us. Then I will get. Yes, I will get myself ready. Mm-hmm. I want to exactly know what, and that is about God and man. And one day God said to me that is exactly the reason why I've made you to meet her. How else will you disciple a community like this? You are known, you are used to those that have just left everything to God. They seldom ask God questions. They seldom ask, they seldom question. When anything happen, if there's anything, they just say, "Where is God?" These guys want to know, okay, if it's the will of God, is that the pattern now? Is that what we should expect? And people like that, if God does not meet them in all his fullness and wisdom, there is tendency for them to take everything into the conversion lifestyle and begin to look at God through that prism. And that will always be their comfort zone. They will always come back to that zone. Anytime they enter into anything, if they see a new move in God, they will wait to study the pattern. God was always assuring me that people like that, I will show my fullness to them. Because that is the only thing that will make them for once not fall back into their pre-conversion disposition. It is a mindset that if you go everywhere and it looks confusing, there is a place that is not confusing, the comfort zone. Just come back there and stay there. It's a place that you don't want anybody to come into. One of the ladies I met in the last program, immediately Roberta said, I feel that you should talk to her. I saw that she had never opened herself up to anybody. She always appeared evasive. So I saw it clearly. And I said, God, what am I going to do? And he said, you know how this is, you know how I do this? All the time. Just show yourself and the work I've done inside of you to her. Don't boast of the miracles that you have done. Because people like that, that's exactly what would even put them off. Show the state of vulnerability, the state of weakness, the state that God has taken you and has formed himself inside of you. And had not even gone 20 minutes into the discussion, she said, I've never done this in my life, so sorry, it might look tacky, it might look very, it might just look like I'm just saying rubbish, just allow me. I said, no problem. Because the reason for denomination, the reason for names is pre-conversion disposition. If Paul killed your father, Stephen, and stood before you years after, like 20 years after, when your son was there, and you had told your son the story of how your father died, and Paul said, we have wronged no man. The 40 people that said they will not eat, they were not devils. They were people that Paul had done some major havoc in their families. And they just did not understand how God would betray them. You said you will contend with those who contend with us. It's your word. You said you will not suffer the wicked to live. It's your word. And this same person did not only live. He wrote 2/3 of the episode that they are not telling us to read. How would I tell my son that you are reading the letter from the person that killed your grandfather? And here is the person standing in front of you and saying, you know what?
Instead of you to be humble, say you have wrong.
And come and say, I am sorry for all I've done. Pre-conversion disposition, you have done something. Are you saying you have not done anything? You are even lying. So you find this wisdom of the word. You find it wanting in this aspect of life. He cannot present you as a new creation. The wisdom of the world will say, I'm sorry, that was me. The wisdom of God will say, I'm sorry, I never existed before. This is a new breed. This is a new nation. That person you are talking about is dead. How do we bring the world into a new order without bringing culture and philosophy into it? What makes us fall the most is the fact that deep inside of us we have it somewhere that we are human, that we are prone to error, and we excuse it. That the word of God said, be holy, is a proof that we can be holy. It's the word of the Lord that said it, and he did not say it by way of suggestion. I studied that portion to know that the same force with which God said, let there be light, was the same force that went with that word. Be holy. Be perfect as your heavenly Father. Now, he even compared, he even referenced. So, if it's not the wisdom of the world, then what kind of wisdom will make us deny God when we get to that point? Doesn't know God. I can't be like you. Those are part of the things that the wisdom of God will make us put in archive, KIV. As some miracles cannot happen anymore. It's part of it. And that is what makes us to blend with the world system, because the foundation of our own culture is on the wisdom of the world. So they will see us as them, we will see them as us, and in no time we will blend up and Babylon will be in the church. When it is only the church that is permitted to be in Babylon. Paul said the church in Babylon greets you, but Babylon is not expected to be in that church. There is a fruit in Yoruba, I don't know what it's called in English. It's called ishi. I don't know what it's called. But this fruit is very sweet, but deadly. At the very top is the seed. Very sweet, very wonderful. But there is the bottom part is poisonous. That if you are not careful, if you taste it, you will die. That is Ishi. That is exactly the kind of wisdom that the world presents to us. So you hear people say in the church that, pick the good words and leave the bad. Say you have. So picture having a mentor who believes that there is no perfection by his actions, because he has this spot that you are aware of, and whenever discussion gets to that point, you see him giving to everything that you've known. In no time you believe it, and at some point you may have fought it so hard to say, you know what, I'm even walking away. And anytime you try to present the word anywhere, you hear people say to you, people, it's human. Why not? God has been gracious to you. God has used him for you. Why not
Pick.
pick the good one? And it's the same root that produced them. There is no way you can pick the good one and the bad one will not rub off on you. Roberta has a very interesting question in the afternoon. He said, why can't we do this way? And I laughed. It's 0.000001 that has graciously put their feet, not their body. I had a revelation, and the revelation changed the whole of my life a few years ago. Believers there was this building. The building looked to me like the kingdom of God. And everyone wanted to enter into the building. Inside the building was an empty land. And you had it in 3 compartments. The outer court, it was clear to me what I was seeing. The inner court and the holies of life. I wrote a book about the pattern structure, the structure of pattern son or something I've forgotten. And I saw a lot, as a mammoth crowd outside the gate. Some wanted to even climb the fence. Anytime they climbed the fence, I would remember what Jesus said, that everybody that had come before me are thieves. Because they did not go through the door, because he's the door. But inside, at some point, there was nobody inside. So I started seeing notable names in front of the gate. Names that I expected to see inside the building. A few. And all of a sudden, the door opened. It was a very strange dream. The door opened like this. As we are looking, I was looking at everybody. I stood and looked because I knew that these people had wanted to enter. So the next thing I was waiting to see was that everybody to trunk.
Killing themselves at the door.
They stood the way they were standing. Then I said, the door is open.
Just in case you can't see it.
They looked at me and they said, you are a fool. There is no door. Not that the door did not open. There is no door. This changed my life because after that experience, I stopped going to church with the mindset of becoming something in the church. I stopped it. Because the Lord used that dream to tell me that the little you know, be distinct. Because they don't know it. Don't ever think, this one, spiritual.
Oh, spiritual.
This deep man. This deep. Benny said, before I finish that story, Benny said that what Benny hates so much.
Who's Benny?
Benny Hinn.
Okay.
What Benny hates so much that I got a glimpse of through Michael Kolianos and some of those guys was when you are on his entourage as a minister of God or as a pastor, and you get to the place where they are, it's time for assignment, for things to be done, and you are sitting there. He expects you to pick something. He hates it because he is drained. So he expects that, how are you doing? This is the field. This is field. So begin to make yourself useful. There was this Brazilian pastor that has always been, around him. I want to go with you, I want to do this. He said the guy was very wealthy, very, eloquent, I mean, and he felt, okay, I mean, no problem, let's go. So he called him, said, let's go. And they got to, the field, and he was so overwhelming. He said he was so tired. And at some point he said, oh yeah, he announced that, oh, I have a pastor friend here, please take the second session, I am tired, I need to rest for the night session. This guy preached for 45 minutes without opening the scriptures. He was just speaking from books, from things, from, we spoke about tape 1, book 1. He was just speaking. He was in the hotel room. He said he was vexed in the spirit that what is happening.
And he was watching live.
And he was watching live, so he said he couldn't stay. He had to come back. He said as he was coming back, the guy was rounding up. And he dragged him to the side and said, what is wrong with you? Is this what you have? He said he told to him that that's what I have. It's difficult to study this thing. I don't open this. I am afraid of people. When you just they open their head thinking because this one is a pastor, because this one owns churches. Forget it. How many people can say that what I preach is what Jesus opened his mouth, sat me down like this, and say, open to this verse. This is what I meant when I was here. This is what I was talking about when I was here. Even if you hear message from somebody's mouth, at least there is a part of you that Jesus will expound and teach it in such a way that by the time you open your mouth to speak, you will speak from a convinced mind. You will speak from a mind that has met with Christ from the word. And not a repetition. Don't open. In fact, Michael was saying that of all of them, that is Daniel Kulanda that has not been slammed before. Mm-hmm. Because somehow Daniel has German blood inside of him. So mixed race and all, but Daniel is who he is. Everybody is falling, he's there. If the power hits him, he doesn't fall, he doesn't know why. So it's just there. So Benny does not really see any need, but every other person, Benny has hit them at one point or the other. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Minister to the people, and Benny can put you on the spot. I've not seen a minister that can put. Michael, you will be drained when you go on a ministerial whatever with him. You will be drained. He will expect that river to be flowing, because that's how God is. Then I looked at everybody. I started doing like this, thinking they would follow. By then they see me, they will rush. Because I was now so fast. I was so fascinated by them that I did not, before I was agitated. When the dream started, I would like not enter heaven. Since at this point, I was not anymore. I was so fascinated. So you guys can't see this door. I was dragging them. They were pushing me back. There is no door there. You have to go through the fence. They started climbing themselves to go through the fence. And as they were, as much as they were trying, the fence was not big, it was not tall, but they were struggling to. And I stood like this. They still did not. And I did like this. They still did not. And I came out and thinking that maybe the door would close, but the door did not close. And I entered.
while they were there were still people from all nations that were trying to come. So the crowd increased, and they were pushing themselves. It was so, in fact, at some point, as far as I could see, some people were already dying, falling, yes. And as they were falling over themselves, some of them stood up and never followed that path again. Those were those that were offended in God, those that they met some parts of God that maybe, just get to a place. Why is this God a dead end? Have you met people like that? Why is it a dead end? It's like, nothing is happening. I pray like every other person. Nothing is happening. So, and then people were still coming. I cried in that dream. I said, God, this is your mercy. How can the door open to me? I looked at people, gray hair, people that are, professors, that they studied theology, in big schools, John Hopkins University, or a Robert University. I saw them right there, all nations, not white. Then I entered and I was going through the outer court. I went through the inner court. As I was about to enter the Holy of Holies, I turned back and I saw that there was nobody. Then I left, I went to outer court. At that point, I had seen like 2 or 3. That is the true reality of what we are experiencing in the world with regards to Christ. The revelation that should come from Him is now the revelation that is coming from the veil. The veil had stopped reflecting a long time ago. The children of Israel, they were still referring to the veil. The veil had no reference. Even Moses knew that this thing was just customary. And one terrible thing about the revelation we receive from men is you don't know how we received it. You don't know whether he even received it while he was sleeping with a girl. I'm telling you. You don't know. People put their head on, for one hand, anointed hand, as they call it, to lay, their hand on them, not knowing. So we don't have children that actually study the traits to know, is this my father? So people lay claim on conversion and they forget that you can never lay claim on conversion. Jesus told me that you can never lay claim on conversion. And if truly you hear the words of Jesus, there are some that will not have reference. Paul said it is better, it is more blessed to give than to receive. At least there will be some reference to those words in the Old Testament to say that he has spoken these words through some. Then there is like Jeremiah chapter 9 verse 23 is a parallel to 1 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 18 downwards. No for that one. No. So it is increasingly, this was what we met. This was what we knew. And then it kept going on from generation to generation to generation to generation till you get to a place where some people just say, you know what, I'm not going to church anymore. And some of them will tell you that since they stopped going to church, few of them however, since they've stopped going to church, their personal fellowship with God has improved. You understand? And so they have held on to that path as maybe this church is not for me anymore. I will just stick to what I know. You understand? So you would have to take God to bring those people into his own church and then send them back to the church to change them. We cannot reject the tabernacle of this denomination. When I hear people say God has left the church, it has never been there. This is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. That was what he said. When man would interpret, what did they say? Let us build tents. Was that what he said? Long time ago, my friends left. They stopped following me. Useless boy. You have anointing like this. You cannot even start a church. We are here to serve you. People have been serving me since I was in secondary school. As in, I mean, serious service. In fact, they will fight to fetch water for me from the well for me to take my bath. Secondary school. So I look at it when I know my mother will always say to people that come to church that by now he can run kilometer 46 for free. He can. There is no set up. Tell me to set up a camp. That is one place that has been totally untapped inside of me. I can make the whole VI a dome that people will be coming and they will have sessions and sessions and sessions, and I know what to do to keep it going and going. You will keep coming back to it. It's so set inside of me. But I knew God is not in this tent. I'm looking at all these things you want me to do. It's not here. So places I've gone to, big churches, that even the general overseer will think I want to come and snatch the church from them. I'm just that. Because God is not in. It was something he said to you in your closet, oh man of God. What you heard was go and establish a church. And you will prove it. It will be so real, right? It will be so real, you will prove it until you begin to get to a point where you will be looking for something that must keep that thing going. Not because God is in it, but because a lot of people have been following. As Okuni said one day they came to meet him and said, this doctrine is too hard. Let us reduce it a bit and everything. And when he was preaching, he got to a point. He said, others that have been following us, when we change, what will they base their doctrine upon? I struggle with that answer. I said, Daddy, excuse me, what are you talking about? What concerns me with other people? What has that got to do with me? That is why it's very difficult when men of God, when you preach a message and God corrects you on it, how many of us are accountable to come back and tell the people, this thing I didn't get it right. When I said it and he came back, this was what he said to me. The first thing that comes as that thought is coming is me that they look up to. That is why we are not on the same wavelength with God. And God's wavelength is very virgin. If I know something, when he says narrow is the way, I know the people that have been on this path. It's not a path that has been used. It's a road. And there are people, I want you. People are dying every day. People are crying. It's the most precious moment in the church is when I look into people's face when they are crying that they need God. Just be looking at them. This pre-conversion disposition will not allow you to see God. Because he will not want you to carry all these things that you know. You can't carry it inside that way. You will contaminate it. It is your type that will enter the place and will come out to tell people, that thing does not work. We've seen him. conversion disposition is the reason why the world today believe denomination is church. What he said was, here is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. He did not say make a tent. That's why when he came back, and that was the greatest privilege of man, to see God to see Jesus in the fullness of God. Why not? That was the only place that I ever know that he showed himself as fully God. Why? Because that at that point was the promised land, and when Moses saw him, he entered into promised land. Because Moses must complete his own journey. That is why Moses came. Elijah must come to have that conversation with him, because the Elijah that came that was not recognized, the word did not allow him to finish his task, because the precept must be upon precept. Elijah must come before the Savior will come. It was not in vain that the two of them were the ones that came to see him, because there are some elders that could not relate with Jesus as the flesh. They didn't know him like that. I don't know how to say this. If I tell you meet me in Silver Fox, what will you say to me?
What is Silver Fox?
Good. The same way, the same. I was the laughing stock in my office last week. I was passing through we call the place common area, where you have pool of staff. That place is like Awu, for those that went to Ife. A place that if you pass, you better get yourself right, otherwise they will yab you with something. And when they yab you, everybody will laugh. So I entered the place and I looked at everybody. I said, I feel like taking everybody out. That was what I said. I just feel I like this bonding. Can we just be in a place where there is no work? And the lady stood up and said, Pastor, Silver Fox is good. I said, okay, so let's go. And everybody said, no! Let's save your marriage. When I heard let's save your marriage, I was like, what has marriage got to do with Silver Fox? Last week. Some people felt the pastor is pretending. You don't know Silver Fox. I said, I don't know. I said, Silver Fox. I took my phone. So you know, I don't know Silver Fox. Silver Fox. Definition of animal came. Definition of blah blah. I was reading it and it was a serious laugh. They were laughing. They laugh, and somebody said, "See, let's help Pastor. Pastor has proven to us that he doesn't know it. Still, I didn't know how marriage came into." And somebody said, Pastor, this is what you are missing. You say Silver Fox Nigeria or Silver Fox Lagos. Then the lady started adults, entertainment, something, erotic, something, and blah blah blah. And it was so funny that a place where I passed to this place every day was the place where the Silver Fox was now situated. Very big, around market, new market. One cream colored building. They just established it. They just built it.
Oh, at the corner.
Yes, at that corner.
Oh, that New Sands. I thought it was a hotel. I've never really looked at it. It was last week when I was passing. I now saw, something hotel SF. Is that what Silver Fox?
So, picture me saying, meet me, Silver Fox. What you will say first is, I've never known Daniel to be like, what's he doing there? In fact, what you will say is, they stole this phone. Let's say it's a chat. They stole this phone. I've heard people like that. That you will communicate saying, no, it's not you. No, some elders couldn't come with the angels when Jesus was born. And he was there. This is not, for them, you don't know the full appearance of the word the way we know it.
angels were singing. You know when you are singing happy birthday to you when we're young, you don't even know the meaning. You don't even know the birthday you are calling is wrong. Do you understand? You are singing it joyfully. They were singing joyfully. They didn't know that that was the word. God made flesh, this one, Jesus. Come and look the real Jesus in them. Jesus that we stand before the foundation of the world, we've been standing and defending this Jesus with our life. That was exactly how Elijah felt. That was what brought them to him in the first place. Because what the glory that shone on him was a type of glory that had never been seen upon the face of the earth. That was like taking God to before the beginning of the world to show his fullness. The fullness of God we've not seen. We've not seen anything. The fullness, and it was just the glow, the radiance that made them sleep. The radiance. So all the discussion that happened, they did not know. I dare tell you, even if they were awake,
they will still not have known it.
Why? Because it's who the door opens for. Is the door. And it has to be personal. That's why I love personal Jesus. I don't know why I love it so much. My friends fought me. In fact, one woke up in the dream one day and came to me and said, I have found a name. I said, what? He said, the name of your ministry. He said, I had to go and pray. I prayed for this because I know that I have to show you serious sign. I have to show you that I'm serious. I wrote it down. I said, what is it? I said, Peculiar People's Ministry. I laughed.
PPM.
I laughed. He said, you are laughing. You are laughing. I saw it. Angels brought it. With everything that God has graciously shown to me, who is angel? Angel brought something to me. I looked at him and said,
It's an angel of God, they're indulging you.
I said, I'm sorry, even if Job, tell me today that you saw Noah. That was how stubborn I was. This is nuts. So picture all of us carrying this pre-conversion disposition everywhere we go. Who we were when a side attraction of Jesus. You know that, like that burning bush. Let me just turn and see. Everything we have ever known from our church days is just let me turn. Because it is eternity. In just my 31 years, I just look at it of knowing Jesus. And from the day I saw the person tapped me and I turned back, from that day till now, it's 31 years. It's just turning to see. Moses was a type. He showed in the first 40 years. At least when a man is 40 years, we say he knows what he's doing. His own 40 years, he was a baby. Now he turned. He was at 80, he turned. Oh, wow, yeah. I'm sending you back. So between 80 and 120 was every escapade that happened in Egypt. And he was still a babe. Because he said a child shall be born for 120 years. That's why I laugh and tell people I will be here for a long time. Nothing will happen to me. I had to pray one day, give me a body that will be here for 150 years. Prepare the body. And when I'm sleeping, just change it.
I love that. All so the organs, everything.
Everything is intact. There is no. So when I go to the hospital and they say, the doctor, the guy looked at me, said this kind of organ is for babies. The only
thing is that you have high cholesterol. I said, which body? This one, high cholesterol. I said, check every other thing. He says, sir, you can't, are you hearing me at all? As if nothing has happened to him before. I said, okay. So we are here for a long time. My friend, the John October will be 50 years old next year. I look at him, I say, you, 50. You are 30. You don't look 50 in any way. Because when generations come and see some of you that have been in church, have known the ways of God, and have made contact with the church, not the world now, with the church, and have not been contaminated. They don't see the churchiness, or how do you call that, all around you. They flock out. And that is why people like you will have so many children from different countries that they will just, fall headlong. They will have their children, they will tell their children to call you grandma, and you'll be like, where did I?
It's your grandmother.
That's your grandmother. Because of what they see that, because you are so, what do you call that lady? The 85-year-old lady that Benny called girl. Yes. What do you?
Is that his pianist?
No, she's
been
an
she
evangelist. Yeah,
God
evangelist.
evangelist. God sent her to Philippines, all those. She's what Benny is to the world, to those people.
To Arab.
Arab country,
Arabia,
yes,
yeah.
all those, yeah. And she's 85 now, I think. What do you call that woman? You call her pastor? She has never even called herself. I've never seen her call so I can't even remember if she has a ministry or she just flows with it, and she shows dimension of God that when she's describing and this some people are those are the kind. That's why the wavelength is not to Jesus, or to your mind. What would you think Jesus would call his church if he had opportunity to establish it? Someone was even seen. Someone was even seen preaching. I asked people, what was he saying? Jesus was not dead. Because disciples came to me and said, we saw somebody say, hey, whoever is not against me, is for me. He was here. I know that there were some people that had secret relationship with Jesus, that would make Jesus to say, go to that person's house, tell him, a master. God, that's the kind of person I want to be. Not not all over your face, familiarity, breeding contempt that I don't even know your secret ways. When the door opens, I don't even know. I'll be latching on some people that can share revelation. Because the time will come, what you just be doing in your church is to be bringing people that will increase footfalls. Oh, it's not an embassy. Judgment will be very simple and straight, because Jesus told himself that what I say to you is what will judge you. Finish. So if you are the type that God has been talking and you've not been hearing, and you stand there, the scanning machine will come. You just be hearing those times. He told you, preach to this person, you did not preach. Talk to this person, you did not talk. Stop using this, you did not use. Stop going that way, you know. Everything. Those are yes, I'm the person. I remember it. You won't see anybody that say, in those days when they act drama, we say, and a book was open. There are many books. One day I asked Jesus, how many books? He said, when I answered the question, how many times will somebody offend you? When I said 70 times 7, you 777 times 777. Those are the books. Which one do you? Which one? And that thing I said to
change the paradigm in me. And I will never ask God, open the book of heaven to me. Open yourself. Because I don't know what is inside. Too much wisdom. That's why you see people say all manner of things when heaven open to them. When you see heaven, which part do you see? Which part do you bring to the earth? Before I start running after you, that you went to heaven, you saw Jesus, in the Jesus open up to you. This singular thing we are talking about this night is the reason why Christian community has become an industry. And we have buildings that one stone will not be upon one another in the days to come. Everything as beautiful as they are onto the ground. Because the only building that will be standing are the people that Jesus himself has built. People we carry beliefs. See people going on the road as Christians and then their left leg just hit something. See, it's a bad woman. Where is it written in the Bible? Many years ago, my pastor would always say, "Everyone help those who help themselves." I thought it was a Bible verse. Then in Yoruba, they always say that how do we say it in Yoruba? That the will of gospel is money. I thought that thing was alive. You know, you see Christians say what? Say somebody is calling me. What is this? I'm hearing sound. Pre-God. Things that once I am in God, I did not leave behind as I was coming. I so held it that this is my identity. This is the kind of person I am. I am choleric. I am sanguine. I am melancholic. I like to enter into my friend. This is me. Like this is the kind of way I love my coffee. This is the kind of way I love my tea. You are who? You are. What did you have that has not been given to you? What have you received? Just look at you. Is it not you? I hear all manner of stories where people say, "Oh, that means that Jesus has known that person before. How can Jesus be so unapologetic and will just demand somebody's space without even saying anything?" How many times Jesus has come to him? Which one would the disciples see? Those ones that sleep all the time? At every little thing. They sleep.
As a fly.
They don't sleep. See that sometimes it might not be on the mountain, maybe from mountain in the middle of the night he went to their houses. The one they saw was the tax collector's house that he went to his house. How many of them? Say he got to a point, they now said there are so many things that happened in the days of Jesus. If we were to write it, he was sleeping. A lot of listening to he just didn't know what to do.
That's wisdom. That's wisdom.
There are some things. How many will he write down? I pitied John on the island of Patmos after seeing all those things. Daniel in the pool of the vision of the night. You see the vision of the night, the vision upon my head, the vision of God. How many visions did Isaiah see? You will see vision, you will get lost inside of it. And he himself, that is the door, the true vision, the real vision, will just be looking at you. Until you answer the question, what do you seek? Then who do you seek will meet you. And then graciously, now how many of us do you think have graciously seen that God himself? So it makes it very difficult for us to have true fathers. Those that are in the purest essence of their spiritual identity based on who God is to them, and can tell you, I have left everything behind. I belong to Jesus. Jesus belongs to me, and I have wronged no man. Not those that will stand before us. How will your gospel be? Everything you've known in God, they will say, preach it in 5 minutes. What do you want to say? the normal line is, I have done a lot of terrible things. I used to smoke. I used to nonsense. That's not gospel. I never did it. Anything you want to say in your mind, say, is as simple as it comes. It's simple. If I rape somebody's mother and I see the person, I'm sorry. It's not me. Because that's what gives us that mindset that we will quickly slip back into it. We will quickly slip back into it. That is this not what I'm known for? Was this not what I did some years back? And you know what? It's one singular reason why a lot of people don't receive of God from people they have known before in their past life. I hope he has not slept with some of you here, because that's his will. And that's what he used to do. So I hope your tithe is safe, your offerings are safe. But this one, he likes money, as you are saying. That's in that forms inside of us. It's one singular need. Paul did everything to manage Apollo. After the Jews, after the mob, Apollo did the greatest damage to the church. Greatest damage. Apollo is the type that will make you know that a minister needs to smell somehow. It's kind of ring you'll be looking for. And you need to have, cloud. I met one minister, and when they introduced him to me in New Jersey, he said, "You are so ordinary."
He said to you,
Yeah, I've heard a lot about you. You're so ordinary. You need some.
Someone told you that.
Yeah, a minister. I mean, you need some. So I asked him. I said, so. I mean, I was quite interested. I actually thought it was, maybe, people have met Jesus more than me. I mean, it could have only been me. So they could have been only me. So I was very open and receptive that this. And he said, so you can. And I started hearing things like, you can build it around yourself. Build it around yourself. People don't have to see you the first time. I mean, you have layers of, some people will see them, then it will take some days.
Someone actually told you that.
Yeah, and you will, even if you're not busy, you're scheduled with time. I didn't expect to see you. I expected your PA to come and tell me that, you'll be around for some, I can read out. I said, that's how.
Because that's how the disciples did it for Jesus. He withdrew himself and then sent his disciples, go and see the commoners and bring only the serious cases to me.
Because that was what Apollo caused serious trouble in the Corinthian church and in the Ephesus church, that when Paul said, come with the brethren, Apollo said, he is busy. He can't come now. My schedule stands.
Okay, Apollo.
Some of them will even tell you, I'll think about it, but my schedule is tight. Kai, Henry will never forget what hit him one day. What hit me one day. I slammed him. Stop that nonsense. Standing before somebody is telling you, come and minister in my church. The next thing you are saying is you check your calendar. You and who? Which calendar? The one that belongs to you? Oh, no, say, where did you get this? Daniel, what did I do? You are embarrassing me. Why would I embarrass you? Stop that nonsense! And I can be embarrassing, I can be very terrible sometimes. The thing just entered one part of my brain. I just, what is wrong with you? I said, I checked inside your mind. What I was waiting for was for you to say, let me go and pray. Or don't even, so that something does not even jump on you all of a sudden and say, let me check with God. or will Jesus be there? Because there are a lot of programs. So, there are some. Let's just let people come. That's the only reason why I check. When I say people, I will pray about it. No, I'm not for me spirituality. I just want to be sure my friend will be there, because if he's not there, I'll just be saying junk. I'm so ordinary when God is not with me. Tolu, I'm so I'm so scattered. I'm not eloquent. People say I don't talk. When you see me on a day where there is nothing, I'll just be ordinary. I'll just be looking at you like a fool. You say, talk, can't you talk? You're talking to me, you're talking calendar. You. Because that is what we have known. That's what we have seen. I looked at the minister, the person that brought him. I was so disinterested. I brought perfume, I brought this frankincense, I kept it. It's been like about 7 years in my house now. Got it from Jerusalem. My wife knows the guy. She just went and this is not ready. You know that this guy is no respecter of human being. He would disgrace. I just sat down. I said, man of God, I'm talking to you. I said, I'm listening. That's why I have 2 years. I don't have to look at you. I'm listening. He got to a point and I said, please, can you leave? I said, excuse me, can you? He said, why? I said, Jesus just came in. Important people, I want to talk to you. I don't hear human being for this long, please. Can you stand? Go in. And as we were going, I told this guy, don't ever in your life bring people like this to me. I know he heard. Because that is what brings the wavelength, that's what brings your wavelength down to their own. It's just like us. It all is Jesus. It's just like us. Men always like to look for something that has commonality. I've seen most times when I talk to people, the first thing they ask me is, do you disobey God? And I looked inside their mind because I know where they are going. I say, yes, thank God. I say, really? I thought what you should ask me is, how is righteousness with you? No, it's not that one. And these things, they said, when you meet people that say that, oh, I wish I'd met you before I got married. My colleague says, just say, Nadem.
Yes, not them. Useless people. Come across them. Come across plenty.
You know, that's exactly how, some people are when you think they know so much of God and God is just because there is nothing that puts God off like presumption, like familiarity breeding contempt. There is nothing like it. That God almost fell on Moses, that has not even been formed as a prophet, it was going to happen. He was going to kill that guy. And he will make everyone.
Not on account of his children.
Yes, he will make everyone. But you are just stupid. Because the law, even the law, according to the science in Egypt, says that you don't start anything except you start from your household. Family in the scriptures is the only topic qualified as an institution. You don't. It's a rule of thumb. If God, that's why I tell people the most difficult church is the house.
Yeah. See finish.
My daughter, she said, Daddy, I don't understand why they call you pastor. But you are my dad. You are my daddy. Because I've never seen you call
call yourself pastor, but we won't talk of. Are you not DB? Yes, I'm DB. Daniel Bello. That's what they do. One day she came to me and said, why? Who are they waiting for? And they are waiting to see me. You? Why? Why are they waiting? It's innocent, but that is how presumption can be. Why are they waiting to see me? Oh, she's here. A lot of it happened many times, and this is just the simple, is the dangerous.
What is the danger?
That a child of God can enter. 3, conversion, disposition.
Or disposition.
Pre-conversion,
Pre-conversion disposition.
how you were before you met God, and that part that you know that.
Nothing can. The Holy Spirit.
I've read some things about God, and I don't think God can do this one. And the word so becomes weakened that it does not become true when it gets to that point. And you look at it, it's not applicable to your life, it will not make it false. I said it.
Incontrovertible.
Yes, it will not go back.
Be speaking vivid English.
And a lot of us.
That part does not get converted.
It does not. We carry that part into the church. We carry that part, into everything that we know. And we let it settle in. And you would experience a part of God. But not that part that will confound the wisdom of the world. No, it is that part that you will just know to show your commonality with man. Anytime you meet people of like mind, like you are speaking Christianese, like you are speaking Chinese.
That you cannot. This was how Paul put it in Colossians chapter 2 verse 23. He said, these things. Okay, so for me, that's my own attitude. When I hear these things, I like to go back because he has been saying some things before he got there. Say these things, and I start from verse 11.
Of where?
Colossians chapter 2 verse 11.
Okay.
In him you were also circumcised with the circumcision made without hands, by putting off the body of the sins of the flesh by the circumcision of Christ. I start that one now and finish again. Circumcision of Christ. Buried in him in baptism, in which you were also raised with him through faith in the working of God, who raised him from the dead. A lot of things I hear that needs to be unpacked. And you, being dead in your trespasses and the uncircumcision of your flesh. Circumcision of Christ is the tree of life. Circumcision of your flesh is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He has made alive together with him, having forgiven you all your trespasses. All. Having wiped out the handwriting of requirements. Does that sound familiar? Like some things I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
God said he has set you free. Go and sin no more. Even the one you will do next week, the next thing that comes to your mind is so I can go to town and do more.
Paying the town rent.
Yes, so it's not like, oh God, I thank you for your mercies. Thank you for this assurance. They are okay, so I have some things that are credited to my account. I must finish that credit.
That blood must finish.
Don't let
That
it waste.
blood must finish on my head.
Why would we let it go stay?
No.
Just be shed now. What's up?
People say, I don't want to get to my old age and say, well, I missed this kiss.
Exactly.
Let me just go and
I
have
don't want
that
to wonder
kiss.
what would have happened.
Yeah,
Let me
well,
know
yeah,
that.
let me just even know what happened. I'm like,
Yes.
really seriously. Requirement that was against us, which was contrary to us, and he has taken it out of the way, haven't nailed it to the cross. Haven't nailed. It's not even that he's nailing, he has finished everything. Now, this part too, we don't believe it. Current level of deception. Having disarmed principalities and powers, he made public spectacle of them, triumphing over them
in it. So let no one judge you in food, in drink. So these are these things he was talking about in regarding festival, blah blah blah, but which are a shadow of things to come, but the substance is what is of Christ. Accountants, substance over form. I mean, so this is it. Let no one cheat you of your reward, taking delight in false humility, worship of angels, intruding into those things which he has not seen. Were they not? Those were the things we're talking about. I will close after this. Vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind, and not holding fast to the. You saw the way he wrote the head. Is capital H to the head, from whom all the body, nourished and knit together by joints and ligaments. You don't know anything like this in the church. Tell people in the spiritual hierarchy, very true to yourself. Who is next to you in the spirit? Say, somebody said to me, even in the physical, I don't know. Not talk of this. Let me even know the physical. You say some things, people think you are trying to be too spiritual. No, that is the language. Expressing and speaking to yourself in Psalms and all these things. I think that you will want. This is false humility. Don't let them. I don't want to show my. My God.
Tolu is next to you in the spirit. Arrangement. What number are you?
At least you know your rank.
So the weightier things that we don't even know.
Yeah.
Why won't all these small leaves? Somebody fell today. That's the news. So that is a part that church does not know how to handle. So if you see, what happened. So if I'm hearing what happened in your mouth, the discussion, conversation that is breaking in heaven, I can never pick it. It's not possible. It's not possible. God can't talk to you and man will talk at the same time. It does not happen. You will listen to one.
You were like, who are you listening to?
You will listen to one. Which news are you reading? What is it saying? Therefore, if you died with Christ from the basic principles of the world, why, as though living in the world, do you subject yourself to regulation? Do not touch, do not taste, do not handle, which all concern things which perish with the using according to the commandment and doctrines of men. Then he said, these things indeed have an appearance of wisdom, in self-imposed religion, false humility, neglect of the body, neglect of the body. Verse 23.
Is it that you didn't return this jacket?
But are of no value against the indulgence of the flesh. There is a part that I'm looking for. Okay, yes. In verse 10. In verse 10, yeah. 2 verse 10, yes. 2:10. And he said that, and you are complete in him who is the head of all principality and power. You see, in my own middle column, he said, plunder you or take you captive. And that exactly is what that self-imposed religion, appearance of wisdom. This is the wisdom of the world. This is not the wisdom of God.
Yeah.
So appearance, having the form of godliness, but it's like an appearance, neglect of the body, but are of no value to the indulgence of the flesh. What I've seen as the greatest deception is when men talk about what they not see, just to look good. If I say an angel appeared to me,
An angel must have appeared.
and an angel did not appear, who am I true to in that statement? I'm just true to cheap respect that is for seconds. Because I tell people,
The next important news is less important the second after. Especially I say, especially to people that in our days when we're getting married, some people want to kill themselves on how that that wedding should be the talk of town. And I always tell my friend, litmus test. There is next Saturday. As long as
Another wedding
Saturday in Nigeria.
There's another wedding.
They won't talk about your own. They take it easy. Don't finish everything on this one that you are doing. The next Saturday. So you stand in a place where you feel, let me share something, let me not, like it's a leaf of the world where we are in class and say, let me talk now, let it not be that if I keep quiet, they will say, you don't even know anything. I've been talking all along, you don't even know anything. So picture Ezekiel when God said, you know what, I've taken your lips, I've taken your mouth. You don't talk until I talk. So what happens? You go to him, you talk, the guy says, you don't know anything, don't tell me you can't say anything. And you say this is a man of God, like this is anointed of God. You say he's seeing Jesus, look at him. Who should I relate my experience to? To men or to God? When Jesus asked me that question, I said, of course, I want everybody to know Jesus died. Let me say, he has to be. I was the one that showed myself to you. All you needed to have said is, which part did you show to me? I'm the one that will tell you what you saw. You don't know. That's why in the prophet, I will ask the prophet, what do you see? Some of them that are wise, they will say, Master, you know. Don't let me. Which wisdom will I ask you? Which wisdom? Which wisdom will I ask? I always had it in my mind that when God asks you a question, that is one of the qualities that a woman takes after God. When a woman asks you a question, you know the answer. Don't try yourself.
Don't be thinking.
No. Don't try yourself.
Don't use yourself.
And when you answer, don't think that she doesn't remember the answer. She remembers verbatim.
No. See?
And quit it.
She will
Don't
come
misquote
back again to ask the same question.
That's the point.
As a matter of fact, she can stand in the same spot
might even say the same
so that if you have forgotten every other thing, you will remember that at one point she stood
Yeah.
there.
That's very correct. And they say, okay. And in fact, she will remind you, what was the situation that surrounded
Exactly.
what I was asking
Exactly.
you?
She can hold something that is familiar to both of you so that you know.
You can't forget it.
But we still don't understand. These are things that will not make us see God. God does not need you to boast of him to people. He can show himself to people in the dream. He does not need you to preach to the world. We deceive ourselves to say that the souls are perishing. We have to tell. What do you know you want to tell? He can tell the story better. He does not even need me to even convert the whole. God can convert the whole of VI in 1 day. 1 day is too small. In 1 second. It's just everybody getting out and seeing a pool of water becoming blood. Or you getting out and seeing that firstborns are dying. Just something mysterious happening that they know that this is the hand of God, it cannot be man. Now, what kind of technology will make me reach out people? What kind of technology would make Moses and Aaron to... The first one they did in the palace, there were a few people there, maybe some astrologers, some magicians. The second one, it was a national contest of people knowing that there is a hand in this city. There is a hand in this city. And the people that got told that they should throw something into the water, they were far away. So I always in closing and answering Robbie's question that the most terrible, that's why I keep saying the enemy of man is man. Enemy of man is man. Jesus had to ask that person that he touched this, like, what do you see? I saw men like trees. No wonder. I can't leave you like this. I leave you like this, all you'll be looking for is cutlass. You just be cutting people, cutting trees. You say, oh, it's tree I'm cutting. I don't know that he's human being. Pre-compassion disposition, excitement is one of them. That Jesus just even showed himself, not the whole of his body, just himself, the whole world here. Finally, I saw it. It was John, you'll be perplexed. Because the Jesus he knew was not the Jesus I showed. This is very deep. Because it decides whether the whole world will come to the knowledge of God or not. It was what plunged me into deep research to know that that guy was a cultist. Everything he knew was after the synagogue of the freedmen, libertines, a small clannish cult that Apollo also was part of. He also was part of. He was a capo. When they were killing Stephen, and they said they were throwing clothes at it. It was not clothes, it was flag. It was flag of allegiance.
Who is this?
Paul. The order of Judaism that they knew in the strictest sense, if you remember, it was not strict in that sense, because libertines are known as a cult that they have unrestrained appetite. If they want anything, they get it. They want to explore. They explore their highest level of lust, highest level of sensuality. And they so much glory in their mind. See, Paul keeps saying, be born again, or be, by the renewing of your mind. They are eloquent. They revere their cerebral knowledge so much. They invest so much in reputation, so much, and little on character. When they talk, everything you know, you will learn. So when Paul became born again, and Apollo became born again, it now became a tussle of who is superior. Remember when we were in school, Buccaneer, Viking, this one. So it was the same, that same disposition will bring it into everything we know in God. Is it not this one? In God, you're asking Niger Delta, and so then beat. I'm like, are you serious? Even in God, I thought we are together with the blood of Jesus. Which one is nationality? Going to a church in Philadelphia, they said this is the church of the white men, the church that believed that Jesus was not a black man. So I used to go sick. In 2012, there is this church that they don't believe in. They believe Jesus was black, and Jesus is coming back to harvest all the black people out of the world. People are sick.
in his definition.
Chinese with the left hand.
Exactly.
Jesus is not like that.
I mean, so all this will bring everything back into what we know in God, and God will say, no, you never met me. I never knew you. Is as simple as it comes. So Paul did everything. At the point he didn't want to come direct. He said, this one say Paul, Apollo, Cephas, Christ. Cephas was Peter. There was nothing wrong with Peter. The issue he had with Peter, he confronted him. There was no issue. There was nothing wrong with Jesus that he mentioned. He just didn't want to come direct. But the time came, he came direct. That was when he faced them that you can have so many imitators, but you have few fathers. And I'm one of you. In Christ, I knew when I birthed you. Because when Apollo got there, he said, anybody that is saying is your father, tell him to show certificate. That was why he was telling them that, are you okay? Do I need to confirm to you? Who has bewitched you? The guy did havoc. When he got to a time, he saw that he couldn't manage it again. He told Titus, come to me, there are things I want to show you, my true son. But tell the church in Ephesus, they should release Zenas the lawyer and Apollos. Give them what you can give them and let them go. And teach people to work with their hands so that they can attend to urgent needs. What he was actually saying is, they have come to harvest your tithe and offering. That was what I was referring to, the honorarium without honor.
So
you just come and
give them and let them
just let them go.
So
There is nothing they will wear you out. Some people, they have that strength to wear you out. At the end of the day, you don't know which you don't even know what brought the discussion in the first place. In them is a pool that can divide you. Once they start, every man from time immemorial opens to hell than ever. It's through the tongue, you are there. You just discover, you break out in the way, say, wow, with all my anointing, now maybe this. Wow. So you change the word from Nadem to Nami. See, this is me. Wow. I just abused somebody. This is me.
And you know the interesting thing is,
not
I was telling somebody, I was telling somebody today, I said, when Jesus Christ was telling Peter, in the morning you will deny me. He said, never. Next thing, the very next morning, they are finishing. He said, Peter was like, maybe this.
His own was so bad. And you know we prayed that thing, we used that thing so much.
Yesterday you were praying.
The same verse, he said, who do men think I am? He said, who do you think I am? He said, flesh and blood has not revealed. How can heaven be so revealing to you and hell? The next verse, the same chapter, not, he says, Satan, get thee behind me. So the anointing side of it did not even chase Satan. Satan did not even respect the anointing. He still entered into you and expressed himself through you.
I said yesterday when you were praying, one of the prayers you prayed, you said we should be careful, we shouldn't talk about people.
Yes.
You wrote it down.
He said,
how did he say it?
About it, he said,
Think.
speak no evil of any man and fear no man.
Today.
I was
I received that revelation. I fell every time.
Why?
5 times today, and I fell every time. I counted it. 1, when you finish, you want to say, you do it. 2, oh God, no, it can't. 3, I said, no, this is serious.
Peter should be laughing at you.
I tell you, that was how I remember that. No, that's how I remember this scripture.
I tried.
That is what cost
Mine
me.
was 3 times.
Exactly. I think we'll be using it to preach and laugh at.
That was only reason.
Small, I never even know that persecution.
They don't send me yesterday by this morning. Look at you, finished, useless. God.
Oh my God. Oh Lord. At that point, all you will see is yourself. But that was Peter when he had not met Christ. Christ had not gone to the cross. So don't come and preach our gospel. Complete it. Don't tell me even Peter. There is a part in God that is holy, true and true, from beginning to the end.
And the fact that I don't exhibit it just yet does not mean that it's not true. All I need to do is to come to a place where He will deliver me from the wisdom of this world. And I will release myself and trust Him to exhibit His character and not conform to reputation of men or what men will say. The first time it happened to me, I made sure it won't be the last time. And that was what separates me from most of my friends. They call those big names. I preached and I got home. And Jesus said, where did you get all those things from? Those things you said.
Who told you?
I didn't tell you. I said,
What do you
but
mean?
they were coming outside. They were coming out. Your head was swelling when you saw crowd. Did I tell you?
That's all the word of
All
knowledge.
the word of knowledge. Okay, I told you now. And this one is sick. Someone is sick. Someone is this. That's why I don't give word of knowledge anyhow. See that day, I don't get. I say, are you here, my friend? I say, clap. Even if I'm saying that, well, it's you, go and meet them. I know how to bring personal Jesus. Just meet your Jesus. I don't know. If I talk now, I say, guys, send you. Even if I gave you eyes to see, must you talk? I said, in my hotel room, I said, go out. You know how we need them. I'm sorry. I said, no. Now them, don't tell me all those things. You will go out and tell them I didn't send you. I will go out and tell them. God, the last time this was how you killed me. I said, yes, I will kill you this time, but you have to be used to telling people what I didn't tell you. So that when you open your mouth to say what I indeed told you, it will change them, they will believe. So that separated. In fact, my friend used to say from that day, he separated the men from the boys. You are the boys, I'm the men. It's okay. It's known and respected. I don't care. I'm not losing anything.
So he called you the boy.
Yeah. I went out and I told them that day you saw that episode yesterday. How many of you were blessed? You know how we say, how many of you are people are already clapping. People are already they don't know what I want to. As I threw the bombshell, and that was emotional. He didn't send me. He said, Pastor, is it that Jesus is not doing it? I didn't say so. But I was to keep my mouth shut. It was just for you to start coming out to tell me, oh, while you were talking, this was what happened. While Paul or Peter was still talking, that was what happened. The Spirit came upon them and he said, okay, so why can't we now anoint? What is stopping us from baptizing this people? Just say what he has told you. Don't say something to impress anybody. As I just said, well, he has told me that I should come and tell you that he did not
Send me
to tell you all those things. Can we, as I say, can we open the book of miracle just started breaking up? Jesus stood by my side. I said, now this is it. This is exactly what I want to mind your business. They are my own business. You are not their business.
Flesh.
And they are not your business. Don't personalize salvation. That it is you that will bring to the world. It's Jesus that will be. Your word will not change, man. Stop. That's why I will never see anybody say, I got converted while you are preaching, and you are my father. I just thought, I will just, them. I'm not your father. I'm not. I can only lay claim on fatherhood if I took you and I discipled you step by step, and we could see where we laughed and cried together. We could see where we showed emotion, where we understand our foolishness, and we moved on, and then I can say, okay, there is something inside of me that belongs to you. Nobody disclaims salvation. It's not your own. Even though whether you are even harvesting somebody else's fruit. So maybe the thing
Maybe
has been
Apollos has
germinating
watered
and
seeds.
germinating. Exactly. And then you now got there, my son. You know, we've not touched anything. I have to go home as usual. And I'm not praying.